China is flexing its sea power like never before.
Is the age of the aircraft carrier over? For 80 years, these massive ships ruled the waves, but a recent event in the Pacific suggests that the king might be naked. A U.S. submarine surfaced undetected within striking distance of China's newest supercarrier. It sent a shockwave through the Pentagon and Beijing. If a $12 billion ship can't stop a submarine from getting that close, what happens in a real war? The answer is terrifying. We are going to dig into the details that the news missed. The silent Leviathan rises. Nearly 18 million pounds of steel. This submarine will become essentially invisible, undetectable to anyone. The display of strength twisted into something darker. Across the globe, jaws dropped. The Fujian had been cornered in plain sight. No one saw it coming, and by the time Beijing understood what had happened, it was already too late. For decades, if you said supercarrier, everyone in the world thought of one nation, the United States. These colossal ships with their massive flight decks have been the ultimate symbol of global military reach. They are mobile air bases that can project power to any corner of the globe. China watched this and decided it wanted a seat at that very exclusive table. The Fujian is China's answer. This isn't just another ship. This is their third aircraft carrier, and it is the one that truly marks a massive leap forward. Their first two, the Liaoning, refurbished from an unfinished Soviet ship, and the Shandong, built by China itself, were in many ways just practice runs. They were stepping stones, but the Fujian, this is the real deal. It is China's first carrier that is entirely domestically designed and built from the bottom up. That is a huge deal. It signals that China is no longer just copying or adapting. It is innovating. So what makes this thing so special? Let's break it down. First, just look at the sheer size of it. We are talking about 80,000 tons of sovereign Chinese territory floating on the water. That puts it squarely in the same weight class as America's own supercarriers. It is over 1,000 feet long. That is 3 soccer fields laid end to end. This isn't a small patrol boat. This is a behemoth, a floating fortress designed to command attention and respect through its sheer physical presence. But the real magic, the true game changer, is on the flight deck. For years, one of the biggest limitations for carriers has been how they get planes into the air. Older Chinese carriers used a ski jump ramp at the end of the deck. It works, but it is limiting. It doesn't allow planes to take off with a full load of fuel and weapons, which cuts their range and punch. The Fujian threw the ski jump in the trash. Instead, it installed something called the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System. Now, this is a big deal. This is cutting-edge technology. In the entire world, only one other carrier uses this system, the USS Gerald R. Ford. The newest, most advanced, most expensive warship ever built for the U.S. Navy. What does this system do? Imagine a super-powered electromagnetic slingshot. It catapults aircraft off the deck smoothly and powerfully. This means the Fujian can launch a much wider variety of planes. It can launch heavier aircraft like early warning planes and radar jammers. It can launch its fighter jets with a full load of missiles and bombs and a full tank of gas. This transforms the carrier from a defensive patrol vessel into a truly potent offensive striking platform. And the planes it launches are just as impressive. We are talking about the J-35, a state-of-the-art stealth fighter designed to go toe-to-toe with the best the West has to offer, like the American F-35. Then there is the KJ-600, a plane that looks like it has a giant radar dish on its back. This is the eyes in the sky. It can fly high and deep, seeing enemy aircraft and ships from hundreds of miles away, giving the Fujian battle group an incredible picture of the battlefield. This combination of stealth fighters and advanced radar planes creates an air wing that is modern, lethal, and incredibly dangerous. But this ship isn't built for show. It is built for a purpose. And to understand that, we need to look at the map. We need to travel to one of the most tense, most watched, and most contested patches of water on the entire planet: the South China Sea. This isn't just any ocean. This is a region packed with history, vital trade routes carrying trillions of dollars in goods, and with incredibly rich fishing grounds. More importantly, it is a region where multiple nations, China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and others, all have overlapping territorial claims. It is a geopolitical powder keg, and China has been increasingly assertive, building artificial islands and military outposts on tiny reefs, claiming vast swaths of the sea as its own. This is the stage. This is where the Fujian decides to make its grand entrance. The official word might be that it is conducting routine exercises or scientific research. But here's the catch. In this part of the world, nothing is just routine. Every move is a statement. Every voyage is a message. By sending its brand new, most powerful aircraft carrier into these waters, China is doing more than just testing its engines. It is demonstrating beyond any doubt that it is the dominant power in this region. It is showing that it can project its will, protect its claims, and operate its most prized asset right in what it considers its own backyard. It is a massive floating declaration of sovereignty, and the Fujian never travels alone. That is a crucial part of the picture. Imagine this colossal carrier as the queen on a chessboard. It is the most powerful piece, but it is also the most vulnerable. So it is always surrounded by its protectors. This is the Carrier Strike Group. Closing in around the Fujian is a defensive screen of some of China's most modern warships. We are talking about sleek, powerful destroyers like the Type 055, which are among the most advanced surface combatants in the world. These ships are armed to the teeth with long-range anti-aircraft missiles, anti-ship missiles, and sophisticated radar systems. Their job is to create a defensive bubble, a shield against any threat from the air or the surface. Alongside them are frigates, adding another layer of defense and anti-submarine warfare capability. Above this armada, the air is buzzing. Helicopters are dipping their sonars into the water, listening for any suspicious sounds. And in the skies, those advanced early warning aircraft are flying their patterns. Their powerful radars paint a picture of everything that moves for hundreds of miles. From the bridge of the Fujian, the view is one of absolute control. The sensors are clear, the escorts are vigilant, and the air wing is airborne. It is a display of immense power and perfect coordination. It looks for all the world like an invincible fortress. But that is the key word, looks. Because this entire image, this powerful illusion of total control, exists only on the surface. Everyone is looking out and everyone is looking up. The radars are scanning the horizon and the sky. The sonar operators are listening, but the ocean is a noisy place, and the deepest, darkest waters below can hide secrets. The entire formation operates with the confidence that they are the hunters, that they are the ones being watched with awe and fear. They are the center of the universe in their little patch of sea. They have no idea that the universe beneath them is far larger and far more dangerous. They are completely unaware that they are not the hunters at all. In the silent, crushing darkness thousands of feet below their keels, a ghost has been watching this entire parade. It has tracked their every move, listened to the thunder of their propellers, and studied their formation. While the Fujian and its group project an image of invincibility on the surface, a predator from the deep has already solved the puzzle of their defenses. The surface fleet thought they were alone, but the real danger was already directly underneath them. The secret life of the Ohio. The Silent Shadow. This ghost is the USS Ohio, a near-invisible presence in the deep, and it has been carrying out one of the quietest, most delicate maneuvers in modern naval warfare, trailing a high-value target. Imagine life aboard the Ohio. The lights are kept low and red to preserve night vision. Crew members move with deliberate care and speak only in hushed tones. Every action feels measured and controlled. The boat's world narrows to a handful of screens and sonar consoles that gradually build a three-dimensional map of the surrounding waters and the movements within it. On the Chinese ship, there is no immediate sense of alarm. No siren scream and no frantic radio chatter erupts. The radar picture is calm and the horizon appears empty. Sonar returns register the familiar messy chorus of the sea. Distant whale songs, the small snaps and pops of crustaceans, the steady signatures of nearby friendly hulls, and nothing that suggests a hidden threat. Confidence hums through the command chain. Officers aboard the Fujian and its escorts assume they are in control. They trust their layered defenses, the training of their crews, and the reach of their sensors. Then, on the 23rd of September, the Ohio chose to send a message that needed no weapon. It did not fire torpedoes, and it did not launch missiles. Instead, it began to rise. The ascent was deliberate, a measured tilt that nudged the massive hull upward through the dark water. From the carrier group's perspective, a strange dark silhouette materialized where there should have been only open sea. A lookout on an escort might have been the first to notice the subtle distortion on the surface, and within seconds the water erupted into a foaming wall as the submarine broke through and the vast form became visible. The sight is difficult to overstate. The Ohio is immense, longer than two wide-body airliners placed nose to tail, and its broad black hull seemed to appear out of nowhere near the carrier group. On the bridges of the Fujian and its escorts, the reaction likely moved from confusion to disbelief to the slow, sickening realization of what they were seeing. It was one of the largest and most formidable submarines ever constructed, and it had surfaced within a few miles of China's prized capital ship. Surfacing that close was not a conventional act of war. It was a calculated demonstration of superiority. In the unspoken language of naval posturing, the act read like a clear sentence. I saw you, I tracked you, and your defenses failed to detect me. The effect was public humiliation. The Fujian, long presented as a symbol of national pride and power, was suddenly exposed as vulnerable. The white churn of the Ohio's wake and the undeniable presence of the submarine became proof that could not be ignored. The psychological reverberations from that exposure, the sudden shattering of assumed invincibility, and the stark reminder that technology and confidence have limits could alter calculations, influence policy, and reshape perceptions of deterrence far more effectively than any single live-fire demonstration. Those ripples extend beyond the immediate encounter. They reach naval headquarters, political leaders, defense planners, and ordinary sailors, prompting urgent reassessments of risk, readiness, and posture. So what is this incredible machine? What is the USS Ohio? And how can a single submarine, no matter how big, pull off such an audacious move? To understand that, we have to rewind the clock. Because here's the crazy part. The Ohio wasn't always the shadowy special operations and strike platform it is today. It was born for a much darker, much more terrifying purpose. Originally, the USS Ohio was a different kind of weapon entirely. It was a ballistic missile submarine, what the military calls an SSBN. These are the ultimate deterrent. Their job was to hide in the deep ocean, carrying enough nuclear firepower to end entire civilizations. They were designed to be invisible, to be a silent, unstoppable threat that would guarantee a devastating response if America was ever attacked first. They were the guardians of the apocalypse, but with the end of the Cold War, the world's nuclear stockpiles shrank. The Navy suddenly had these absolutely massive, incredibly capable submarines, but fewer nuclear missiles for them to carry. Instead of retiring them, someone had a brilliant and frankly terrifying idea. What if we could convert these hidden giants from launching nuclear weapons at cities into launching conventional weapons at battlefield targets? What if we turned the ultimate strategic weapon into the ultimate tactical weapon? And that is exactly what they did. The USS Ohio went into a shipyard and underwent a miraculous transformation. It was converted from a ballistic missile submarine into a guided missile submarine, or SSGN. This wasn't just a simple paint job, this was a complete overhaul of its very soul. The massive tubes that once held 24 nuclear-tipped Trident missiles were reconfigured. Now let's talk about the scale of this thing because the numbers are hard to grasp. The Ohio is a true behemoth. It is 560 feet long. To put that in perspective, that is longer than the Washington Monument is tall. If you laid it on a football field, it would stretch from one goal line well past the opposite end zone. When it is submerged, it displaces over 18,750 tons of water. That is more than some aircraft carriers from World War II. It is one of the largest submarines ever to sail in the depths of the ocean. Its size is a key part of its stealth. It is so big and so well designed that it can hide its own acoustic signature, making it sound like a distant rainstorm or a school of shrimp to enemy sonar. But a ship is nothing without its crew. and the Ohio has a unique system to keep it deployed and on station for incredibly long periods. It uses something called the blue and gold crew system. Think of it like a relay race. There isn't just one crew for the submarine, there are two completely separate crews named Blue and Gold. While the Blue crew is out at sea on a months-long patrol, the Gold crew is back home, training, resting, and preparing. The moment the submarine pulls into a port, the Blue crew gets off, the Gold crew gets on, and within a matter of weeks, the Ohio heads back out to sea. This system means the submarine itself can be deployed for over 70% of the year. The only thing that limits its endurance is food. The reactor that powers it has enough fuel to last for decades. It doesn't need to refuel. The crew, however, needs to eat. So, the limiting factor for how long the Ohio can stay hidden underwater isn't fuel or power. It is how many steaks and eggs they can cram into the freezers. This gives it a persistent presence that is unmatched by almost any other vessel. It can linger in an area waiting and watching for months on end if needed. So you have this colossal city-sized submarine originally built to hide from the world, now converted into a multi-mission strike platform and kept constantly at sea by a dual crew system. It is not just a boat. It is a permanent, movable piece of American power capable of appearing anywhere at any time without warning. It is the ultimate instrument of strategic surprise. And about that food situation, imagine living underwater for 3 months with no sunlight. It sounds miserable, right? But the Navy knows that to keep these sailors sharp, they have to keep them happy. The food on a submarine like the Ohio is legendary for being the best in the fleet. We are talking prime rib, fresh-baked bread, and elaborate desserts. It is a small comfort for being packed inside a steel tube hundreds of feet underwater, but it matters. But here is the catch. While the crew is eating well, they are also living in a state of constant high-stakes tension. Every person on board, from the cook to the captain, is a firefighter and a damage control expert. If something goes wrong deep underwater, there is no one coming to help. They are on their own. This creates a crew that is tightly knit and incredibly disciplined. They operate as a single organism. When the Ohio surfaces next to a carrier, it looks like a calm maneuver. But inside, it is a symphony of coordinated chaos. Valves are turning, commands are being repeated, and eyes are glued to sensors. One wrong move at that depth or one mistake in buoyancy control and the submarine could breach too fast or lose control. The fact that they made it look so easy is the real flex. It shows a level of mastery that money just cannot buy. So we have this massive, stealthy submarine that can appear out of nowhere. But what happens when it doesn't just want to send a message? What happens when it is time to actually fight? This is where the story goes from impressive to absolutely terrifying. This is where the USS Ohio stops being a shadow and becomes a thunderstorm. The Ohio is impressive when it is quiet, but when it decides to get loud, it can burn down an entire country. A rain of fire. Think about the Fujian. Its power is in the sky. It launches jets one by one from its deck. It is an incredible display of engineering, but it takes time. The planes have to take off, form up, and fly to their targets. Their reach is limited by how far a pilot can fly. It is a powerful but methodical form of warfare. The Ohio is the complete opposite. Its power isn't in the air, it is in vertical launch tubes. Remember those 24 massive tubes that were converted? Each one of those tubes doesn't hold just one missile. They are packed with multiple launch canisters. In total, the USS Ohio can carry and launch 154 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles. Let that number sink in. 154. This isn't just a lot of missiles. This is more firepower than most entire navies possess. A typical U.S. Navy surface destroyer might carry 96 missiles for all its different jobs, shooting down planes, hunting subs, and hitting ships. The Ohio, a single submarine, carries 154 missiles dedicated purely to striking targets. It has the equivalent firepower of an entire surface battle group, all concentrated into one invisible, stealthy hull. It is, for all intents and purposes, a naval artillery battery that can hide in the ocean. And these aren't simple rockets. The Tomahawk cruise missile is a technological marvel in its own right. It is a pilotless jet stuffed with a powerful warhead and guided by a combination of GPS terrain mapping and digital scene matching. It can be launched from the ocean, fly 1,000 miles over land, weaving through valleys and around hills, and then strike a specific target like a command bunker or a power plant with stunning accuracy. It can hit a single window from the other side of a country. This gives the Ohio a mission flexibility that is simply unmatched. While the Fujian's aircraft are best used against other ships or for establishing air dominance, the Ohio can sit hidden off a coast and reach deep inland. It can hold an entire nation's critical infrastructure at risk without ever being seen. It can destroy air defense systems, destroy command centers, and take out communications hubs, all from a safe distance. In the dead of night and in any weather, the sheer volume of fire is almost impossible to comprehend. It has been said that the conventional explosive power of a full salvo from an Ohio-class SSGN is greater than the destructive force of all the bombs dropped by all the aircraft in the entirety of World War II, except delivered with pinpoint precision. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but the sentiment holds true. The punch this thing packs is apocalyptic. But that is not all. As if being a floating missile silo wasn't enough, the Ohio has another trick up its sleeve. It is also a secret base for the most elite special forces in the world. Up towards the front of the submarine, behind the missile tubes, are facilities designed for the U.S. Navy SEALs. The submarine has something called a lockout chamber. This is a specialized compartment that can be flooded with water. It allows SEAL teams to exit and enter the submarine while it is still submerged, hidden deep below the waves. They can slip out into the dark water on miniature submarines or diving gear, completely undetected, to conduct missions on hostile shores. The Ohio can carry and support up to 66 Special Forces personnel and all their gear for extended periods. So picture the complete package. This one vessel can linger unseen off a hostile coastline for months. It can, in a single devastating hour, unleash a hailstorm of 154 precision-guided missiles to blow a hole in an enemy's defenses. And then, in the ensuing chaos and darkness, it can silently release a team of Navy SEALs to swim ashore and conduct their secret war. It is a first-strike weapon, a strategic bomber, and a special operations forward base, all rolled into one silent black hull. Now let's talk about the specific mechanics of a strike. Imagine the order comes through. The captain verifies the code. The coordinates are fed into the fire control system. Deep inside the missile tubes, the Tomahawks spin up their internal gyroscopes. The outer hatch opens, exposing the launch canisters to the ocean pressure. Gas generators fire, ejecting the missile through the water and into the air. The booster rocket ignites, and suddenly the sea surface erupts with smoke and fire. One after another, the missiles streak away. Within minutes, dozens of them are airborne, skimming the waves at 500 miles per hour. By the time the enemy radar picks them up, they are already too close. And the submarine that fired them? It has already turned, dived deeper, and vanished back into the void. So we have these two incredible machines. On one side, the Fujian, a $12 billion symbol of power that rules the surface. On the other, the USS Ohio, a silent phantom that commands the depths. But when you put them in the same ocean, why does the USS Ohio have such a decisive edge? Why is this not even a fair fight? It all comes down to a few fundamental, brutal truths about modern warfare. The first and most important truth is the battle of stealth versus visibility. Let's be blunt. You cannot hide an aircraft carrier. It is one of the largest moving man-made objects on the planet. From the moment it leaves its port, it is being watched. Spy satellites take its picture. Electronic sensors listen for its radio signals. Long-range radar planes can spot its formation from hundreds of miles away. The Fujian, for all its power, is a giant flashing neon sign that says, "I am here." It projects power precisely because it is seen. The USS Ohio is the exact opposite. It is designed from the inside out to be invisible. Its hull is shaped to slip through the water with minimal noise. Its machinery is mounted on rubber isolation pads to keep vibrations from leaking out. It is covered in special sound-absorbing tiles that eat up enemy sonar pings. It is a black hole in the ocean. It absorbs everything and gives nothing back. It can be just a few miles away from a destroyer, and that destroyer's sonar might mistake it for a thermal layer in the water or a school of fish. In the game of hide and seek, the Fujian is always found. The Ohio never has to be. This leads directly to the second brutal truth, the element of surprise. In any potential confrontation, the USS Ohio always holds the initiative. It gets to choose the time, the place, and the terms of the engagement. The captain of the Ohio can spend days trailing the carrier group, learning its patterns, finding the weak spot in its defensive screen, and positioning himself for the perfect shot. He is a predator studying his prey. The carrier group, on the other hand, is forced into a purely defensive posture. They have to assume a submarine is out there somewhere at all times. They are constantly reacting, constantly guessing. Their helicopters are flying endless patterns, dropping sonar buoys. Their escorts are zigzagging, their sonars pinging away. It is an exhausting, nerve-wracking game of waiting for an attack that could come at any second from any direction. The submarine is hunting. The carrier is being hunted. That psychological and tactical advantage is immense. Finally, there is the cold, hard calculus of cost. Think about the financial investment here. The Fujian represents a staggering $12 billion, and that is just for the ship itself. It doesn't include the billions more for its air wing of stealth fighters and early warning planes. It doesn't include the cost of the several escort destroyers and frigates that must sail with it to keep it safe. You are looking at a total package worth well over $20 billion. Now consider the USS Ohio. It was built decades ago. Its conversion into a guided missile submarine cost money, of course, but it was a fraction of the price of building a new carrier. For that investment, you get a platform that can single-handedly threaten that entire $20 billion investment. So would you rather be on the $12 billion ship or the invisible submarine hunting it? The answer might seem obvious now. If you enjoyed this deep dive into naval secrets, smash that like button and subscribe for more mysteries from the deep. You won't believe what we find next.